Has this ever happened to you? You're in an important discussion. You know deep down that you're right, but you can't find the right words or the right logic at that moment. The other person ensnares you so utterly that you simply remain silent. Later you remember, I should have said that. What if you had a secret weapon? A way of thinking that is used by the world's most successful lawyers, those who don't just argue, but know how to win every argument. Imagine if you too could get to the heart of any argument, catch the weak point of the other person's argument in a split second, and present your point so convincingly that no one can refute it. This isn't magic, it's a skill, a disciplined way of thinking, and this book will teach you just that. It will make you not a lawyer, but an invincible thinker who knows how to win every battle in life. Welcome to Wehle. Let's move on to Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Breaking the big picture into small pieces. Lawyers don't just know how to argue. They look at any problem from a single perspective. We often get bogged down in big problems. Our minds are constantly thinking about 10 things at once, and we can't make a decision. For example, let's say you want to buy a new phone. You think, good camera, good battery, low price, and everything becomes a mess. But a lawyer won't think like this. They'll break this big problem down into smaller questions. They'll ask, first, what's my final budget? Second, what will be the main use case for this phone? Photography, gaming, or business? Third, which features are most important to me? Now watch that same confusion turn into a clear plan. Kim Wehle says the first step to thinking like a lawyer is to break down any large and complex situation into manageable pieces. This approach isn't just for buying a phone, but for every major decision in life. When you break a problem down into smaller parts, you can focus on facts rather than emotions. You can clearly see the real issue and the most straightforward path to solving it. Chapter 2. Always ask why. Thinking like a lawyer means never taking anything for granted. Most of us accept things at face value. It's company policy. Okay. That's the way it's always been. Okay. But a lawyer's mind always asks one question. Why? For example, imagine a new rule in your office that requires you to account for every hour. Most people would simply complain or accept it quietly. But a lawyer thinker will ask, why did this rule come into place? What problem does it solve? Was there a better way to implement it? Who will use this data and how? This one question, why, it takes you beyond the surface and to the heart of the matter. Kim Wehle says that if you ask why 5 times, you can get to the root cause of any problem. This technique shows you not just the problem, but also the intention behind it. Asking why isn't challenging someone, it's a way to gain clarity.
When you know the reason, you can either offer a better solution or follow the rule more effectively. Chapter 3. See the other side of the coin. Winning an argument isn't just about presenting your point, it's about understanding the other person's point better than theirs. We often focus only on our points. We think, I'm right and they're wrong. This mindset will never let you win. For example, imagine you're planning a trip with your friend. You want to go to the mountains and they're insistent on going to the beach. They'll keep arguing endlessly. But a lawyer thinker will first consider, why does my friend want to go to the beach? Maybe they want a relaxing holiday. Maybe they like water sports. When you understand the reason, you can find a win-win solution, like an article about a place where there are mountains and water. To present a strong argument, you first need to understand the other person's argument. You need to know why they think that way. What are the strengths and weaknesses in their points? When you understand the other person's perspective, you don't just argue, you make a connection. You show that you've heard them, and then you can present your own point more effectively. Chapter 4. Think with facts, not emotions. Our world runs on emotions and opinions. I think these things sound good, but they can't form the foundation of a strong argument. A lawyer's mind leaves emotions at the door. It focuses on one thing, facts. For example, In a meeting, someone says, "Our new product will fail. I don't have a good feeling." This is an emotion. A lawyer thinker would instead say, "I don't have a good feeling. Market data from the last 6 months shows that demand for such products has dropped by 40%. Our top 3 competitors have also incurred losses from such products. Therefore, we should reevaluate this launch." Now tell me, whose point holds more weight? Kim Wehle says, "Facts are the pillars on which your argument rests. Without facts, your point is just an opinion floating in the air. Facts are something that can be proven. They are universal and cannot be refuted. The next time you make a big statement, stop and ask yourself, do I have any concrete facts to prove this? This one habit will add weight to everything you say." Chapter 5. Correct word use. Lawyers know that every word has a weight. One wrong word can change the entire meaning. We often use words loosely in our daily lives. "I'll get there soon. This work is almost done." These words create confusion. Example, imagine your boss asked you to write an email. You wrote, "I will send the report as soon as possible." What does ASAP mean? An hour? A day? A lawyer thinker would write, "I will send the report by 5 p.m. today." This is clear, precise, and leaves no room for confusion. Words don't just convey information, they influence. Using the word challenge instead of problem changes the tone of the entire conversation. Saying learning instead of mistake creates a positive atmosphere. Choose your words carefully.
Always strive to use clear, specific, and unambiguous language. When your words are clear, your thinking is clear, and the other person understands your point exactly as you intend. Chapter 6. Find the rule that applies. Every situation, every argument operates on some rule or principle. These rules aren't always written, but they exist. A lawyer-like thinker doesn't just focus on the problem. They look for the rule that governs the entire situation. For example, imagine 2 employees in an office arguing. One says, "He stole my idea." The other says, "No, it was my idea." The manager won't just listen to them. They'll look at the underlying principle, fairness and credit. What does the office policy say? What is the industry standard? Once you grasp that big principle, smaller conflicts resolve themselves. Kim Wehle teaches us to identify the rule you're relying on before presenting any argument. Is it the rule of fairness, the rule of efficiency, or the rule of honesty? When you connect your argument to a universal rule or principle, it's no longer just your opinion. It becomes a strong, logical argument that's very difficult to counter. Chapter 7. Read what's not written. Most people only read what's written, but lawyers are trained to read what's not written. The fine print. We agree to countless agreements every day. When installing apps or signing up for websites, we assume everything will be fine. A lawyer would never assume that. For example, you're buying a gym membership. The salesperson is telling you all the good things. No joining fee, great discounts. You happily sign.
But a lawyer will read that contract carefully. They'll look for the clauses written in small print. Membership can only be canceled after 1 year. Prices will increase by 20% after 6 months. What's not written or overlooked is often what matters most. This skill isn't just for contracts. It's useful in every conversation. While it's important to understand what the other person is saying, it can be even more crucial to understand what they're not saying. Always look for gaps. Question missing information. Double-check what seems too good to be true. This little extra effort can save you from significant losses in the future. Chapter 8. What if this happens? An average mind thinks only about the present. A lawyer's mind always thinks 3 steps ahead. They view every decision like a chess move. They constantly ask themselves, what if I do this? And what if that happens? For example, you're leading a project and you give your team a task. You don't just say, "Get it done." A lawyer thinker will think ahead. What if the team doesn't understand the task? Backup plan, a detailed document. What if our lead developer falls ill? Backup plan, another developer on standby. What if the client asks for last-minute changes? Build a backup plan and extra time into the schedule. This advanced thinking prevents you from panicking and keeps you in control. Kim Wehle calls it thinking through consequences. This isn't pessimism, it's preparation. It's preparing yourself for every possible outcome. When you think ahead about the possible reactions to every action, you're never surprised. You're always prepared and can handle even the most challenging situations with a calm mind.
Chapter 9. Structure your argument. A powerful argument isn't just a collection of good points. It's like a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. A clear structure. We often just say our thoughts as they come. This doesn't add weight to our argument and confuses the listener. For example, you're pitching a new idea at your company. You can't just say this, "We should create a new app. It would be very beneficial." A lawyer thinker will give structure to their message. First, the issue. Our sales have been declining for the past 3 months. Then the rule. Reason. Market research shows that 70% of our customers are active on mobile, and we don't have an app. Next, the application. By creating a user-friendly app, we can reach these customers directly. And finally, the conclusion. Therefore, we should immediately form an app development team. This structure makes your message logical and persuasive. In the legal world, it's called the IRAC method. Issue, rule, application, conclusion. This structure is so powerful that it makes any complex idea simple and understandable. It takes the listener's mind on a logical journey that's difficult to escape.
This isn't just for large presentations. You can use it in your daily emails, messages, and even normal conversations. Learn to structure your speech. The impact of your speech will increase tenfold. Always start with your main point or problem. Then, provide facts or reasons to support it. And finally, clearly state what action you want the other person to take. Clarity is power. Chapter 10. The Power of Silence. We believe that winning a discussion means speaking more and making more points. But lawyers know that sometimes the most powerful move is to remain silent. Silence creates a void, and most people become uncomfortable with that void. They start speaking to fill it. For example, you're asking a shopkeeper for the price of something. He said $100. Instead of immediately offering $80, simply look him in the eye and remain silent for a few seconds. There's a high chance he'll feel uncomfortable and say, "Okay, I'll offer you $90. Your silence has accomplished what your words couldn't. Kim Wehle explains that silence gives you time to think. When the other person is speaking, you are not just listening. You're picking up on his body language, his tone, and the meaning behind his words. Use pauses in conversation. When you are asked a difficult question, wait for a second instead of answering immediately. This shows that you are speaking thoughtfully, and it also increases the weight of your words. Remember, the one who speaks less is listened to more attentively. Chapter 11. Avoid yes or no questions. A lawyer knows that the direction of the answer is hidden in the way the question is asked, and the most dangerous are closed-ended questions, i.e., those questions whose answer is only yes or no.
These questions stop the conversation from moving forward. They try to control you. Do you agree with me? If you say no, you will appear uncooperative. If you say yes, you will be stuck. Example, suppose your coworker asks, "Don't you think this project deadline is impossible?" This is a trap. If you say yes, then you become a part of negativity. If you say no, you seem disconnected from the reality of the team. A lawyer thinker will not answer this question in yes or no. He will rephrase it in an open-ended manner. I understand that the deadline is challenging. Let's talk about which tasks are taking the most time and how we can speed up the process. Always try to ask open-ended questions. Questions that start with what, why, how, when. These questions force the other person to give more information. This shows that you are interested in finding solutions, not just answers. Is this a good idea? This is a closed question. What are your suggestions to improve this idea? This is an open question. Make this small change in your conversations and see how people start talking more openly with you. Chapter 12. Attack the issue, not the person. When the debate gets heated, we often make a big mistake. We leave the issue aside and start personally attacking the person. You always do this. You don't understand anything at all. This is the point where you lose the argument, because now you are talking from ego and not from logic. Example, you do not agree with someone's idea in the office meeting. You won't say that this is the worst idea of your life. This is a personal attack. A lawyer thinker will always focus on ideas, not on humans. He'll say, the idea is interesting, but I'm worried we don't have the budget and resources to execute it. Can we talk about this? Look, you also express disagreement, but with respect. Kim Wehle says ad hominem is a Latin phrase which means to the person. This is a logical fellowship, a logic flaw. When someone cannot answer your point with facts, he starts attacking you. You have to recognize this and never use it yourself. Always remember that your goal is not to humiliate the other person, but to find the best solution to the issue. When you focus on the issue instead of the person, you open the door to productive conversation. Chapter 13. Use analogies. Sometimes, some concepts are so complex that it becomes difficult to explain them simply. This is where lawyers use one of their most powerful tools. Analogies means simile or similarity. An analogy connects a difficult idea to something familiar and simple. It creates an aha moment in the mind of the listener. Example, you want to explain to your team how dangerous it is to start a project without planning. You can say, starting a project without a plan.
It's exactly like that. Like driving in an unknown city without a map. You will probably reach somewhere, but it will waste a lot of time, money, and energy. This simple analogy makes your point more effective than a 100-page report. A good analogy makes your point memorable. People may forget the figures you have given, but he will remember the analogy given by you. This is also a great way to create an emotional connection. Find analogies from your daily life. Whenever you try to explain something difficult, be it sports, cooking, or nature, think about how familiar it is.
This small effort will take your communication to the next level. Chapter 14. Admit your mistakes. What is our image of a lawyer? Someone who never loses, who never admits mistakes. But in reality, the best lawyers know that admitting your mistake is a sign of strength, not weakness. When you admit to a small mistake in the middle of an argument, you do a surprising thing. You don't strangle the other person, you disarm him. Example, you are arguing with your partner. He says, "Why didn't you tell me about this earlier?" Instead of immediately defending yourself, you can say, "You are right. I should have told you earlier. It's my fault."
I will take care from now on. 90% of the debate ends with this one line, because there is nothing left to fight for now. When you admit your mistake, you increase your credibility. You show that you are honest and that your ego is not bigger than the truth. This increases the trust of the other person in you. This does not mean that you accept everything, but if you are really wrong on some point, accept it gracefully. You have a point there. I had thought of it that way. These phrases do not make you appear weak, but confident and open-minded. Chapter 15. Listen to the other person. really listen. We all listen, but most of the time we listen to respond, not to understand. When the other person is speaking, our mind is preparing its next point. Thinking like a lawyer means learning active listening. That is, listening while being completely present, without any judgment.
A friend of yours is upset and is talking to you. He is telling the problems of his job. An average listener will be immediately impressed. Why don't you change jobs? Talk to HR. But an active listener will first just listen. He will ask clarifying questions. How did you feel when this happened? What do you think is the hardest part of it? Sometimes people don't feel comfortable. They just need someone who will really listen to them. A powerful technique of active listening is to paraphrase what the other person is saying. That means repeating what he said in your own words. So, if I understand correctly, you're saying that it shows that you are really paying attention, and it also protects you from any misunderstandings. Listening is a skill, and it is probably the most underrated communication skill. Next time someone talks to you, put down your phone.
Quiet your mind and just listen. You'll be surprised how much new you learn. Chapter 16. Let go of what is not under your control. A lawyer fights to win, but a good lawyer also knows which battles are worth fighting and which are not. We waste a lot of our energy on things that are not under our control. Traffic, weather, behavior of other people. We think about them and worry about them, but we cannot change them. Example: you were going to give an important presentation, and on the way, you get stuck in traffic. Now you have two options. First, you get angry, shout, take stress, which will not change anything, except that both your mood and performance will deteriorate. Second, take a deep breath and accept that the situation is not under your control. You can use that time to mentally revise the presentation or listen to some relaxing music.
A lawyer thinker will always choose the second option. Kim Wehle teaches us the same principle of Stoic philosophy. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. You can't control other people's actions, but you can control your reaction, and your real strength lies in this reaction. This practice gives you a calm and focused mind. When you stop wasting your energy on small, uncontrollable things, you have more energy for the things that really matter and that you can actually change. Next time you're in a situation you can't change, just ask yourself one question.
Will worrying about it change anything? If the answer is no, then let it go. Peace of mind is the most precious thing in the world. Chapter 17. Understand your audience. The same argument doesn't work for everyone. A lawyer knows that he has to present his case to the judge in a different way, in a different manner in front of Zari, and in a completely different manner in front of the opposing lawyer. It is important to know what to say, but who are you talking to? It is even more important to know this. What are their values? What matters to them? In which language does he understand? Example: you want to convince the CEO of your company for a new project. You won't tell them how cool or innovative the project is. You will talk in a language they understand.
Money will tell you that this project can increase our profit by 15% in the next 2 years and save 20% cost. But if you're telling the same thing to your creative team, you'll be focusing on innovation and learning opportunities. Always do your homework on your audience before presenting your argument. Know about them. Understand their needs and concerns. When you connect your point with the other person's world and its meanings, then your point ceases to be just a suggestion. It becomes a solution for them, which is very difficult to refuse. Chapter 18. Simplicity is the greatest strength. Lawyers also have an image that they use very difficult and heavy words, but the best communicators know that real genius lies in making difficult things simple, not in making easy things. Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. If you cannot explain something in simple words, it means that you yourself have not understood it properly. Example: a doctor does not explain his patient's illness in medical jargon. He uses simple language, which a common man can understand. There is a slight blockage in an artery of your heart. It is more effective than atherosclerosis in coronary arteries. The same principle applies in every field. Remove unnecessary jargon, corporate buzzwords, and complex sentences from your speech. Use short sentences. Use simple and direct words. Clarity is kindness. When you speak or write clearly, you save the other person's time and energy. You show that you respect them. Simplicity does not reduce the weight of your point, but increases it because now more people can understand it. Chapter 19. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Since childhood, we are taught that asking questions means we don't know something. It makes us look weak. This thinking is absolutely wrong. The biggest weapon of a lawyer is not his knowledge, but his curiosity. His ability to ask questions. Even the dumbest questions often bring out the most important information.
Example: there is a big meeting going on and the CEO is using a new term, Project Phoenix, over and over again. No one in the room knows what it means, but everyone is afraid to ask lest they seem stupid. A lawyer thinker will raise his hand and ask, "Excuse me, can you explain Project Phoenix a little more? I just want to make sure we're all on the same page." This one question clears up the confusion in the entire room. Asking questions is not a sign of ignorance, but of confidence and engagement. It shows that you are paying attention and that you want to understand things better. This is also a way of giving respect to the other person. Never assume that you know everything. Ungrouped means guessing. It is the biggest enemy of communication. Incomplete truths and misconceptions, they always arise from guesswork. So don't feel shy in clarifying. Ask and ask until you get 100% clarity. It is better to appear ignorant for 5 minutes by asking a question than to remain silent and remain ignorant for the rest of your life. Chapter 20. It's not just a way of thinking, it's a way of living. This book doesn't just teach you how to win an argument, it makes you a better thinker, a better communicator, and a better decision maker. Thinking like a lawyer isn't a switch you turn on at work and off at home. It is a mindset that helps you in every aspect of your life. Example: you want to teach discipline to your child. You just explain the reasons behind the rules in Chapter 2 instead of Chapter 6. You listen to them through active listening, Chapter 15, and focus on the issue, not the child, Chapter 12. This approach strengthens and makes your relationship more respectful. These skills, breaking down big problems into smaller parts, focusing on facts, seeing both sides of the coin, and anticipating consequences are all life skills. They will protect you from marketing gimmicks, help you spot fake news, and make you a more informed and empowered citizen. Thinking like a lawyer is like gaining a superpower for your mind.